On today's program, we'll be visiting many places that you can reach by boat, and we'll also visit one place that you'll never reach by boat. That and much more coming up next on Mission 360. Hello and welcome to Mission 360, coming to you today from Annapolis, Maryland. You know, when we think about overseas travel today, we usually think about busy international airports. But at one time, most international travel started and ended at places like this, port cities. And today we could visit many of the places on our program if we got into a boat and headed out the Chesapeake Bay, but it would take too long. So instead we're going to do a quick visit. We're going to go to another port city, Bergen in Norway, and talk to a pastor there about the challenges of urban mission, particularly in a very secular country. We'll also travel to Chicago. It's a port city, but it's on an inland sea. But first up, let's visit a global mission pioneer in Alaska.
Togiak is a small village in the south of Alaska. It lies north of Togiak Bay and southwest of Anchorage. You cannot drive to Togiak. This is a very remote place, and it takes a couple of airplane rides to get there. About 800 people live in this rural community. This village is mostly made up of 2 Native American families, and the people here are very close. In this part of Alaska, you can have nearly 20 hours of sunlight in a summer day and close to 17 hours of complete darkness in the winter months. Chad and Liz arrived here straight out of college. They came with the goal to plant a church. Can you imagine leaving your family and friends to go to a completely strange place? Well, what they didn't know is that God had already started to pave the way for them. Chad's grandmother had built a very strong relationship with the people of this community many years ago. Although Chad and Liz would have a rocky road ahead, they were warm welcomed by some who remembered their grandma's dedicated work. Chad is an Inuit Aleut, and he understands the way of life in this region of Alaska. Like many of the men in this village, he is a fisherman. Chad is connecting with his roots as he meets the people of Togiak, inviting them to study the Bible and get baptized. Before long, pioneer Chad and Liz realized God had a special work for them here. They were called to specially minister to God's little ones. Besides their work as teachers at the local school, they extend their ministry beyond school gates, all the way into the church facility.
The kids are the future. And I said, Lord, if you've given my wife and I a gift to love these kids like you love us, we're going to do it.
The kids love to hear Bible stories, play games, and experience the love of Jesus firsthand through the ministry of Chad and Liz.
We're here for them, but it's like God's love is known here. They want to be here every day. They'll come and knock on the door.
The kids simply love it here. They often come with the excuse to get a drink of water or use the church's bathroom, but really, they want to visit Chad and Liz, spend time and eat a special meal together.
We love you, we thank you, may we all say Amen!
While summer days are warm and exciting, winter days bring a challenge. The sun rises about 10 in the morning and sets around 5 p.m. It's difficult for anyone to focus on healthy activities and avoid common problems such as drug abuse, drinking, smoking, and even overeating as people grow depressed for lack of options. But even in the winter, the children have a place at the church to learn and sing Christian songs.
Never in my life have I seen a church where kids bring themselves. It's changed me. It's told me that when the love of God is what it's supposed to be in the church, unconditionally, no bias, no judgment, that kids can see that at such a young age, and it'll inspire them to the point where they'll bring themselves. And they want it.
Chad and Liz continue to focus on the kids of this community, but they never forget that there are others who are also hungering for the love of Jesus. On a daily basis, Chad uses the VHF radio frequency to spiritually feed hungry souls.
I'll turn on the VHF radio, and it's channel 68, so pretty much all of Togiak is in this network through VHF channel 68 on that frequency.
Afternoon, Togiak. This is Pastor Chad Angson of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and it is about 4 minutes till 3 o'clock. It is the 15th of July, Tuesday, and it is time for the reading of the day.
And now I'll tell them what that verse means to us, what it means to us personally, and why and how it applies to our lives, and how we can use that verse in our daily lives.
God is using pioneer Chad and his wife Liz to touch Inuit people like Chad who can connect with them through their ancestry, but most importantly, through the love they communicate from God. Please participate in this important mission right where you are, among your people and your friends. God can use you to communicate love to a world in need. Please also pray for pioneer Chad and Liz as they do their part to share the hope of Jesus.
My guest is Frank Hardy, who is a specialist in the Navajo people and culture and is also fluent in their language. Frank, thank you so much for joining us.
Very good to be here.
The Navajo people, of course, are a Native American people here in North America. What sparked your interest in these people?
I've always been interested in languages, and I had a pastor who worked so hard. He had 8 or 9 churches in the southern part of New Mexico, and I thought I wanted to study for the ministry, and if I worked anywhere, I wanted to work there where there were those needs. And so I finished at Union College, and the one part of Central Union, they called it Central Union at that time, that overlapped with the Texaco Conference was Farmington. So I went there to sell books after school, and they invited me to go to Levita Mission.
What did you discover about the Navajo people? What's special about them to you?
Oh, they're just so quiet. It's impossible to shout in Navajo. They have so many needs. They're just very dear people. I love them.
Kind of like a gentle people, would you
Yes.
describe them? Yeah.
Now, but not before.
Right.
The reason for the long walk was because they made themselves such a terror in the Southwest, stealing sheep and attacking settlers, that they were marched over to the eastern part of New Mexico, and then they came back, and that was the long walk.
So why did you learn their language?
Well, when I went there, I wasn't thinking of learning Navajo. I was only thinking of gaining some experience before I went on to do graduate work. And when I got to the reservation, I purchased a copy of the Navajo New Testament, which I have here. This is the copy that I bought. This is the 1956 edition, and it was just so strange, so different, and it became an object of fascination to me. I've read this book 3 times.
Yeah. So give us an example of the Navajo language, perhaps a Bible verse in Navajo.
Okay, Isaiah 1:17. Gad hago haishanti bandit in nibohoni. Ajane bahagiat eight aisi lechinde. Yasna halingo legaidole. Ajandil hilgo lechinde. Agalgagiat ego legaido. This is the passage that says, "Come, let us reason together, says the Lord. Though your sins be as scarlet, they will be white as wool. Though they be like crimson, they will be white as wool." But the Navajo does not say as white as wool. That would be agagiat ego legai. That's not what they say. They say agalgagiat ego legai, which is as white wool, because not all wool on the reservation is white.
So they clarify.
They clarify.
So Frank, the gospel among the Navajo people, because their traditional beliefs would be very different, I imagine.
Yes.
How has the gospel entered among the people?
There's a long history of Christianity on the reservation. Catholics were, established an early presence at St. Michael's, Arizona. And also the Dutch Reformed have had a congregation in Shiprock for like forever. It's a very old congregation. Seventh-day, well, I should mention that about half the tribe is Christian now. about 50%. Old Way religion is maintained at about 5%. The remaining 45% is peyote, the Native American church.
And the Adventist work among Navajo, how would you describe that?
We have an established work. First, I have to give you some geography. The bulk of the reservation is in Arizona. So think of a box of your favorite breakfast cereal. And then if we go down from the top, we'll go a third of the way down the box and halfway over toward the middle. Now, that's almost the reservation. From the right edge, you have to go a little bit farther right over into Arizona. And from the top, you have to go a little farther up into Utah. That's the reservation. Now, our work is in two bands, two parallel bands, one across the north of the reservation, the other across the south. So across the north, you would start in Shiprock, then Monument Valley, then Page. And this is late-breaking news. The work in Page is just starting up, and this is exciting stuff. Alan and Kelly Fowler are heading that up. But then across the south, you have Gallup and Window Rock and Kinsichi, and I think they might have some work in Ganado also. And then Chinle halfway in between.
Now, do we have Navajo believers who are leading the work there? Do we have any Navajo pastors?
Yes, at Monument Valley, Pastor Charlie Whitehorse is a native speaking Navajo, and he has his D-Min degree from the Andrews University Seminary. A layperson working in Page is Alan Fowler, Alan and Kelly. Both men left the reservation temporarily, Alan to work, Pastor Whitehorse to study. But these people are not on some mission assignment, they are home. This is their place.
Among their own people.
Among their own people.
So, Frank, as we finish up here, what is the importance of speaking to people in their own language?
The importance of speaking to people in their own language is that they can understand it.
Right.
In the 2000 census, I'm sorry I don't have numbers from the 2010 census, the Navajo people reported over 7,000 monolingual speakers of Navajo. Now, not everyone is a monolingual speaker, but that 7,000 rounds up to 8. The actual number was 7,616 monolingual speakers of Navajo. Who is going to reach those for the gospel?
Right.
Well, I can tell you who it's going to be. It's going to be somebody that speaks to them in the language they know.
Yeah, exactly. Now, you have a couple of books that you've written in Navajo there. Frank, briefly describe those.
Okay, this is the first one, and this is not the reason why we're here.
Right.
This book, I'm sorry, this book is the reason why we're here, but this book is the first one to come out. This was published in 1978. Christ Bihiki, that means things that belong to Christ. And it was a little missionary booklet published in 10,000 copies. And then this one, Jesus Wutya Ashko, is an adaptation, not a straight up translation, but an adaptation of Steps to Christ. The copyright holder is the White Estate. It was printed at the Review and Herald.
Wonderful. Frank, thank you so much for sharing with us, and among a people that most of us have had little or no contact with, but we know that they're very special in the heart of God.
Yes, they certainly are. Let me just mention my personal desire and hope would be that our Navajo Adventist people and that Navajo people generally will learn to know and to appreciate this book. This is the 2000 Navajo Bible, the complete Bible in the Navajo language. It is beautifully well done.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Frank. And we'll be right back straight after this break. Welcome back. Next up, we travel to Bergen on the coast of Norway.
Thank you, Gary. I'm here in Bergen, Norway with Pastor Sven, and you're pastor of the church here in Bergen. Can you tell me a little bit, Bergen has been chosen as the mission to the city. What exactly does that mean? What are some of the plans?
Well, the interesting thing about Bergen is a town of about 250,000 people, and we only have one church in this city, and that's really too little. We've done too little for too long.
And the church has been here for over 100 years.
Just close to 100 years, yes. Yeah. And so I've been called here to help engage the church. The church itself wants to reach out to the community, and so me working with the church, we've come up with great ways to reach out to the community, and share the gospel with people. It's very, very exciting to see how people are responding to the Bible. We are primarily a secular culture, and we find that the Bible is no longer the authority on how to live your life. But the Bible is still an authority, that some people are interested in learning about. And so when we go out to the community and say, hey, would you like to know what the Bible says about living right? We find that very many people are very open to hear about the gospel. And so we want to utilize this, and we want to use this as a means to reach people for Jesus Christ.
Okay. Part of, I guess, the challenge is just coming into contact with people and getting to know them to get to that point. So what are some of the things you're doing?
Well, right now we have several things that we are doing to reach people. We have a church school that is open for the public, and we do active advertising in the community.
A Christian school.
A Christian school, yes. We get a lot of people in touch with a lot of people that way. We do have a nursing home that we also have 90% non-Adventist at. And we go up there and we have Friday night worships, we have Sabbath morning worships, we have Wednesday worships. And so we get a lot of contact that way. And then we have a lot of foreigners that come to Norway seeking fortune. And the problem is you cannot get a job in Norway unless you speak Norwegian.
Even though a lot of people speak English.
Everybody speaks English.
Everybody speaks
Everybody
English.
speaks English. But they don't want to hire non-Norwegian speaking people. So what the church did, we had 3 teachers from our school that say, we are teachers. We can teach them Norwegian. And so they established a program to teach, and from the very first day we had over 30 foreigners that came to study. And we invited them to come to church, and many of them are coming to church. Some of them are sending their children to our church school, and where they get active Bible teaching. So we do have some things that are reaching out, but to a more narrow population. We want to reach everybody for Jesus, not just parents of children or the children of elderly, but we want to reach out to the broader community. Bergen is a town with 3 universities, and so right now we really don't have anything set up to reach the enormous student population that is here in Bergen. And that's really a shame, but we really need to have some kind of student center. We do have, by the grace of God, a phenomenal youth group that is very cohesive and very excited about doing evangelism. We do youth events. Our youth team organizes youth events. We have Impact that comes in here every summer and invigorates young people for evangelism. So we want to take that to the next step and reach young people that come here to study and reach them for Jesus Christ.
So Impact was here in Bergen this last summer. Can you tell us a bit more about what they do?
Yes, I want my church, I want our church to be a learning church where we train people to be disciples. And Impact, that's exactly what they do. They take young people and they teach them how to be disciple-making disciples. So I said, listen, we're doing the same thing. Why don't you guys come with your youthful enthusiasm and energy, bring it into my church. We will give you the whole church campus. You can stay here, you can eat here and do whatever. Plus, you have 250,000 people to reach. And if you do a mistake on that block, you can go to the next block and people don't know you. And so there's huge room for error, and we can feed off of that enthusiasm. So we've had them for the last 3 years. And this summer, that just finished, we got 94 people that are interested in learning more about health or Bible or prophecy or even Bible studies. And that's phenomenal. Praise the Lord.
Now, right now, we're right in the heart of Bergen, I guess you would call it.
Yes.
And the church is not quite downtown. What can we do to maybe be where the people are down here? What are your dreams for Bergen?
We definitely need a presence downtown. Of course, the city is so large that we have several town centers around. My dream is to plant a church in every major part of the town. Just north of here, the largest part of our city, it has 80,000 people. That's a fairly large city in Norwegian scale. We have no church presence up there. We definitely would need to have some church plants going on here in the city center. It would be wonderful to have some kind of center of hope where we can reach the young population or other people that do live here, people with young children. We already have a strong child program, maybe a daycare that catered. These are some of the needs that are. Some centers for the students that can be open late, where they can grab something to eat, something to drink, where they can finish up their homework, where they can be social after maybe finishing up a paper and just go out and just in a clean environment that's not drug or alcohol or whatever.
So in other words, the opportunities, the potential is limitless.
Absolutely. This is untouched ground, really. And so we want to try to reach out, and whatever we do here, we're going to be successful because God is with us.
Well, thank you so much for talking with us. Gary, back to you.
Next up, we travel to a church plant in the heart of Chicago, Illinois.
The battle for our attention grows fiercer by the minute. Marketers bombard us with advertisements of all kinds. Brand name companies bend over backwards to get their products off the shelf. Ultimately, sellers insist that you act now, call today, and don't miss this special offer. In such a pushy world, it's easy for anyone to perceive Christians as people who are throwing a sales pitch, people who, at best, are looking for an equally beneficial exchange. However, Christ was clear in his approach. He came to bless people. He met others with disinterested benevolence, leaving the ones he encountered with only one explanation. He did this because he truly loved them. In the heart of Chicago, Illinois, in a society with little interest for God or church, a group of people meets weekly in rented studio rooms of the Den Theatre. In a normal day, this is a centre for independent actors, actresses, producers, and others who love the arts. But on the Saturday, this centre is partially transformed into a church. Here members worship as any other Seventh-day Adventist congregation would. There is lively worship music, an inspiring sermon,
That one of the greatest displays of Christ's acceptance of us was portrayed in the promise that he made in John 14.
The members even gather afterwards for a fellowship meal. But this special day doesn't end here. In the afternoon, members from the Epic Church go out onto the streets of Wicker Park to show love with no strings attached. Their objective is to brighten someone's day and make new friends. Need prayer? No problem. Here, people who believe in God are available to pray with those who are heavy-hearted. Some of the signs read, "Free hugs." Epic members are taking this opportunity to encourage anyone with a warm touch, a loving smile, or even an energetic high five to let others know that they are precious in God's eyes. Perhaps Epic Church members are not leading the masses to church with free hugs and prayers, but they are bringing them closer to God's love. And each day, someone is specially blessed.
You never know what you're gonna find or the kind of people that you're gonna find, and sometimes you are surprised by what you see and what people tell you. Well, today, actually, my first hug of the day, I gave the free hug, and this guy told me, my grandpa passed away this morning. So I just found it very touching, and I know he needed that hug. And I know that sometimes we do little things, but they might mean a lot to people.
Free hugs and prayer is just one of the ways Epic members are following Christ's method. This community is truly about living discipleship.
Epic Church is a community where discipleship happens. If you come to Epic Church, immediately it's going to be evident in the conversations, it's going to be evident In the sermons is going to be evident, through worship is going to be evident, through the things we do here, through the community, that what we're after is discipleship. It's a place where discipleship happens. It's a place where unchurched people are invited into a life of service and knowledge of Jesus Christ. It's a place where unchurched people are accepted, and where church people, followers of Jesus, are trained to be disciple makers.
The location is appropriate for meeting people from all walks of life. On a previous Sabbath, a local actress who was auditioning in the building decided to stop by and see what was happening in the larger theatre room. As she peeked in the door, someone approached her, answered some of her questions, and invited her to join the worship. She went in and is now attending on a regular basis. Brianna also found a home here.
It's like I wandered in here one day, and now I'm just happier and more at peace with things. And I feel like I'm a lot, like if I have problems, I feel like I'm supported and I just know things are gonna work out. Yeah, it's a very different vibe here. Like it's a happy, joyful vibe, as opposed to like I'm here, this is solemn and serious. And people actually want to talk to each other. It's not like, oh, we come to church just because it's an obligation, then we run away from it.
Epic Church is truly a place of acceptance and diversity. Through creative approaches, they are befriending the Wicker Park community around them. Something as simple as a smile can go a long way in fulfilling our mission to reach people in a city like Chicago. Please pray for this holistic service to God and others, and pray about what you might do to share Jesus without a word.
Well, thanks so much for joining us today on Mission 360. I hope that you've been inspired and challenged by what you've seen and heard. And please remember to pray for the people and places that you see on this program. Frontline mission work can be exciting. It can be a wonderful experience, but it can also be very challenging, at times lonely, and even discouraging. So it's very encouraging to know that people are praying for you. Before we go, I'd like to give you a free offer. The Global Mission Calendar is full of wonderful images of mission from around the world. And it's a terrific daily reminder to pray for mission. So if you live in North America, please accept this small gift as a thank you for your continuing prayerful support for mission around the world. That's it for today's program, but I hope that you can join me next time, right here on Mission 360.